Live or a live? What's the difference between being live and being alive? Can you be live while you're alive? Can you be alive while you're alive? Can you be alive while you're alive? Can you be dead while you're alive? Can you be live while you're dead? I updated the list. So, I completely forgot about YouTube and the subs and the commenters. The only list I went through was pretty much Facebook and my memory slightly. So, to update the list, I added Lauren Pritchard, Becky Gelly, Peter Naughton, Not Nearly Normal, Eli Buchanan, Daniel Hawkins, Lee and Rory Steele, Lemore Wolf, Regina Cruz, Darcy, John James, Start Where You Stand, Perceptions Out Loud, or Thoughts and Perceptions Out Loud, Quinn Michaels, The Foreskin Vampire Slayer, Silky F, American Bald Guy, or Derek, Christy Love, Monica O'Brien, Mr. West, Vat City, THXS 1141, and Donnell Andrews. And that's the thank you list for now. People who have affected me one way or the other. And that's that. That's the update to the list. And good morning. Hey, Samir. You're welcome. I'm trying to put this thing on a stand. If my iPhone can stand. It's not very good at standing. I wanted to set it on the thing so I can leave it alone and ignore you guys while I'm looking at internet stuff. Or perusing the web for conversation topics. Whoa. Whoa. Andrea just sent a text, so she's probably in the chat as well. Or will be. Likely. So what's up? What's happening? Eli. Supposed to be doing a show with Eli later today. I'm also supposed to be setting up for another show with another woman that reached out that I have not heard of yet. She was kind of responding to that video where I was asking for somebody new to come on the show. And yeah. So, and Eli's never been on either. He also responded to the same email. So I'm gonna have 2 new people on the Snail Show. Hopefully. And her name is Eleanor. Saturday. Eli, what time is it there? I think it was subtract 4 hours from my time and then add a day. So if it's something like 7 or 8 here, subtract 4 hours, that means like 3 o'clock tomorrow. So 3 o'clock Thursday for you? 4 o'clock Thursday? Oh, is it almost 9 already here? I don't even know what time it is. It is almost 9. Okay, so subtract 4 hours from 10, and that makes 6, right? 6 o'clock Thursday? I always was confused about uh, on the globe model, when you get all the way around to the other side, you know, is it just today on one side of the line and tomorrow on the other side? It doesn't make any sense. Yep, it makes no sense whatsoever. But none of the models make any sense. So pick whichever one makes you feel the most silly inside and go with that one. Flat and round. Yeah, that's a good one. It's a possibility. It's probably everything. It's probably all of the above and more and none of them. Nothing makes sense. Yeah. That's why we're all poor. I remember I remember listening to Alan Watts a little bit, and I haven't done that a lot recently because I've kind of Alan Wattsed myself out. Like, the guy essentially lives inside of me. I've listened to so much of his talks. Poor. But he was talking about the multiple meanings of words, and he was talking about the word matter and how we don't matter because we're spiritual. And I was just like, when you graduate language wise, every single possible meaning that you've ever heard for a word, as sentences are being spoken, you are receiving like a multi-dimensional thought construct, and you see all of the meanings. And if somebody understands how the different words overlap each other, it's like a permutation, kind of. They start exponentially multiplying the meaning possibility within the sentence. And it's just a different way of languaging. Instead of listening to a string of words with, Webster's standard dictionary definition at the top of the list informing your understanding of the sentence, you have not only that one, but you also have your own understandings of the word and your own experiences that were connected with that word. And you have all the different meanings of that particular sound, like wood, and wood. There are some words that very simply they sound like one thing, but they have 4 different meanings. And it makes the conversation have much more depth. The English language is super weird. Yeah. Somebody was talking about weird as in WYRD, and the original meaning of it. Yeah. You can't make any meaning of it. And then that's okay, it's fucked up and weird and multidimensional in wrong ways many times. For the person who's genuinely trying to communicate, okay? It's fucked up enough for the person who's actually trying to communicate with honesty and integrity. And when you add the fuck faces into the mix, when you add the legalese experts up in there, then you have a language which is inherently confusing even to people who are fluent in it, such as myself, then you add in lawyers using legalese and narcissists using their fuckery to manipulate. And it's confusing enough when you're trying to be honest. When you're actually speaking from the heart, it's confusing enough doing that. And then if you add someone who's deliberately trying to be evil or deliberately attempting to harm, it is it becomes weaponized. The language itself is the only thing that's actually weaponized. There's nothing else here that is weaponized. It's only concepts and their contortion slash distortion slash what we would normally call lies. That's the only thing that can actually be weaponized. Because all of the other so-called tools of destruction or weapons require a mind in order to be utilized or brought upon somebody or a group of people. And the only reason the mind is ever utilized to do that is if the mind is fucked up inside, or it's listening to some dictator, or it's listening to some us versus them, whatever notions. It's the only thing that could be weaponized. And of course, this happened after we had these so-called wars, but I still don't know how to grasp imagining like a battlefield that I would be participating in outside of game theory. I can't possibly imagine it. I can't imagine it. I wouldn't be able to. My mind would not be able to, unless it's just I pop into being and I'm running through a field and I hear explosions around and I'm like, I don't want to die. And then someone comes and points a gun at my face and then I say the same thing or think the same thing, I don't want to die, and then therefore am required to do something about it. But outside of that very sort of specific and unlikely scenario, there's no justification for actually like harming somebody or something with a weapon. There isn't any. And I mean in all the contexts, up and down the spectrum, from imagining yourself to be God all the way down to the only way it's really justifiable is if you are still in fear and you're still in the ego mind and you're a tool. That's really the only way it's still justified. Or of course if somebody directly attacks you or your family. Because the idea of force is silly. It's just dumb. It's very dumb. It's very ignorant. Go fight a mountain or something. Like go try to get angry at some large object in the world and find out that you're puny and you can't do anything about that. And then realize that all wars are going to have the same thing. It's going to be anyone that's ever having a war is going to come up on a big ass thing that's going to just stomp on them, and that'll be the end of it. Inside of game theory or hyper game theory, war makes sense. Chess is war. But and this is what we're seeing on the political level. It's good that it's devolving to this, but we're seeing the logical conclusion to trying to kick the can of country versus country for whatever reason. The whole identity thing, the whole collective identity thing. You see the logical degeneration that happens, and what happens is you end up having Donald Trump tweeting insults at, anybody and everybody. That's what you end up with. I mean, that's it's what it devolves to necessarily. It can never ever go any other way than that. unless, and this is again the only way it's possible in my mind. The only way that the violence is actually possible is, and again, it's possibly applicable in this game that we're in, is it's only possible in game theory. As you go up the levels and start removing the veils, we eventually would find that we're in some game that one level of us agreed to. That's the only way it's possible. And then that's why, you know, Donald Trump is part of some interdimensional chess game. And the same way as attacks happen on the board, once this particular interdimensional chess game is over, then the players get up and hopefully shake each other's hands, and the spectators, which are us, come spectate this interdimensional chess game between the top guys, such and so and such and so. Rent your avatar meat suit for a couple $1 billion, for this $500 million saga. However you want to mentally categorize that game, that it's very possible that we're in something like that. But that's the only way that it's actually justifiable. Only way. Otherwise, it's just silly. There's just no sense whatsoever. Like, if you're gonna be violent and like try and take everything over, then do it like Yaldabaoth and actually do it, and actually be hiding inside of everybody's mind, and actually be in viral form that's virtually impossible to detect, and spawn this big giant outline of you inside of popular culture and books, and never show your face, something like that. I'm not giving credence to Yaldi or anything like that. I'm just saying, if you were to actually be like a scared piece of shit and want to like rule everybody, do it like he did. Don't do it like how Trump does it. Don't do it like how anyone that's actually using violence or putting out this feeling that behind these strong and powerful words lies force and violence. Do it like that. Because that force actually does exist. The mind virus does exist. Some people know that essence as Yaldi. Some people know that essence as the Antichrist, or the demigod, or a fallen angel, whatever. However this entity is known, it exists in the time field. I've experienced it directly from time to time. It's never been fun, but that's how you do it. Like, if your core is built with like the deepest possible level of fear, insignificance, self-loathing, and power, like ego power taken to the utmost top level, that's what would happen. That's what would result of it. You'd have the Ouroboros in actuality. And that's many ways that this realm has been described as being. And we happen to be in here inside of, this self-eating playground. Love is war. Love isn't war. I don't think love is war. Love, how I understand it, would be more akin to self-sacrifice or eternal patience, something like that. Because in the end, any intention, any clutching or moving toward a variant of the time field is the ego wanting or diswanting something. So love, which according to my definition and understanding accepts everything unconditionally, probably is the core of your present moment at any given moment, and you can't stay there, obviously. If you ever want to use your mind, you gotta dip out of that space. But that's what would That's what love would be. Mechanics Institute. I'm gonna mosey along relatively quickly here. I didn't intend to do any very long stream. Settlement conference. Any burning desires? Does anybody have anything they need to get off their chest before I take off? I know that sounds like AA, but they have a good model. No? This guy, a Caustic Librarian, before I leave, I wanted to mention him. He's I don't know if he has any support. I remember I asked the people that are connected to Og in whatever way, shape, or form, or if he was the trigger that brought them out of their daydream. Then you are at risk of going a little bit loopy if you don't have some sort of support system. And I'm not because of Og. Og does what Og does, just because of the sheer amount of information that he gives out. It's like jumping down 1,000 rabbit holes all in one day. And if you don't have someone to sort of talk your verbal diarrhea that's inevitably going to start bubbling up, then you're going to start going crazy. And I noticed this a little bit with the Akashic Librarian guy. He holds himself together pretty well for the most part, but he seems very much beholden to symbols, or at least thinking that they have some sort of power. And he also said something in one of his videos about something like, I am here and I'm here forever. And he didn't sound particularly happy or enthused when he said that. And that means that he's experiencing some sort of existential angst. And you need support when you're going through shit like that. Otherwise, you're going to go through that very, very dark night all by yourself. And it's not great. Anyone that has too much awareness and too much mental capacity for a dumbed down and whatever dumbed down corner of the NPC world they happen to land in, if you don't have a sounding board for your shit, then you're gonna go kind of nutty. Unless, of course, you just blast through it all, find your 0 point, and call it a day, and then come back and play around. And that can happen and does happen, but it's rare. It is rare. We got some most likely unnatural cloud formations out there. It's funny to me. The doomsday devices were deactivated. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't have a lot to say about the actual apocalyptic scenarios. I don't have a lot to say about it because if you're not playing victimhood in that scenario, then you're either playing healer or you're playing the role of forgotten godhead, or you're actually trying to escape the matrix still, which is a funky notion. I don't see a lot of potentials for that being really beneficial. So for me, for the timeline that I inhabit, there won't be any apocalypse happening because my consciousness won't tolerate that bullshit. And this is what I was trying to say. It's amazing that, you know, we're dreaming awake. We're awake dreaming. That's what this is. That's what all life is. There's no life anywhere that's not awake dreaming. And the fact that it has been able to hold together this much for this long, and when I say hold together, I don't mean devolve into apocalypse. That's a fucking narrative. Okay, that's holding together. I mean literally just it's amazing that this very specific frequency attunement, which we call Earth, whatever decade, whatever, has been able to hold together even in myself. That's amazing to me in this dream realm. It's that's a big magnet, like that's a big whatever device is holding the frequencies, or whatever being, or if it's me or if it's the collective. It doesn't seem like it's a collective, because the collective is pretty dumb and they're not capable of doing much. But this thing is held together for quite a long time, or at the very minimum the pretense of what the world pretends to be attempts to portray itself as. The fact that it's held together at all for, we have memories going back to the probably 50s through 80s for most of us, much further than that, and you're in your 80s yourself and you're probably getting ready to kick the bucket. That's the memories that we have, and the other memories are inside of family members whom we don't really communicate with. And the so-called history is such a load. It's such a that's too much. Somewhat. It's pretty entertaining, I guess. I don't know. The devices were in the giant spider structures. What? A lot of disinfo as well throughout the spiritual communities. Who is a Caustic Librarian? Just look up a Caustic Librarian. He heard of Og. Actually, in one of his videos, he was like, these are the people who are sponsoring me for $10 a month. He's like, for $10 a month, you get to be on this list. And it was Og, and then like 3 other people below him were sponsoring him through Patreon, but he didn't. He's all combuzzled internally by the balanced aspect of existence, which is like every time he says one thing, then he immediately is reminded of its opposite, so he can't really talk, But he tries to hide the annoyance that he can't say anything inside of like awkward presentation of symbology on his whiteboard, and sort of obfuscated speech patterns about highly esoteric knowledge / symbology, but really he's just another being that needs support. So, and I've played that role for some individuals. At least I have attempted to, and I know that I do for a lot of people play that role, the support role. But I don't wish to do that for everybody, nor can I, nor do I have the time. So if somebody would like to try to reach out to that guy, and whichever way feels correct, then go for it. Otherwise, I'm going to take off. So thanks to everybody who's on that list. And thanks to everybody who's watching. Thanks to everybody who will watch. And Eli, I will see you today at 4 my time, which is 12 o'clock Thursday your time. Time is so fucking stupid. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Okay. I want to have Matt on someday. I want to have the Quantum of Conscious guy on someday. I don't know why. I just feel like it should happen. Okay. Peace.